Thank you. We have a roll call on the commissioners.
Soto Presley.
Here.
Keswicky.
Here.
Villegas.
Here.
Myrick.
Here.
Aldridge.
Here, for the record, all 5 are present. Number 3, declaration of conflict of interest. Number 4, communications.
None were received.
Number 5 are minutes from June 7th, 2016.
I don't have. Mr. President, I didn't have the minutes in my pen. I didn't even. Oh. I didn't get them. Did you drop them off at my house? I didn't get them. Oh. Yeah, I didn't even get anything.
Is there a question that? Yeah.
No.
Mr. President, I move we approve the minutes, Hammond Redevelopment Commission minutes from June 7, 2016. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the minutes for June 7th, 2016. Are there any questions or any other additions or corrections to these minutes? Okay, roll call on the minutes.
Soto Presley.
Yes.
Keswicky.
Yes.
Villegas.
Yes.
Myrick.
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes. Motion passes, 5 yes. Okay, I think Ms. Alana Miller is going to do homebound, conditional forgivable loan approval, or are we ready for that?
Yes. All the applicants are here except for Ms. Antoinette Macklin. She had to work, and she'll be attending the next meeting. Mr. Michael Mendoza is also present. He's receiving $3,500 because he's a teacher. If the applicants can please come up.
Welcome, if they can, yeah, come forward.
How you doing?
Well, we just asked you, I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
Michael Mendoza.
So how did you hear about the program?
My realtor advised me about it,
Who's your realtor?
Jerry Thompson,
Jerry Thompson?
and I did see advertising on a
Okay,
big sign.
okay. I'm just go to the lady right behind you in the purple. How did you hear about our program?
My mortgage lender,
And who's your lender?
Carol Kassler, with Diamond.
With Diamond Residential? Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
And we're all first-time home buyers, correct? That's the, all right.
Okay, Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 6 applicants. I second that.
Excuse me? Except I only see 5 applicants.
So she was, it was 7 first.
Right. She's
Yeah.
working, so there's,
So who's
There's
this?
7.
McLean is at work.
Right.
oh, yes, only 5 are here.
I
Someone
have
missing?
7 for tonight, but 6.
Yeah, so who's missing?
And the number 1, Antoinette, she said was excused, is at work.
Lewis, number 3. Lewis. He's not here.
Okay.
I'm not sure because I know we contacted him earlier. To be present.
Okay.
See if they can be running late.
Are we going to approve 5 with the other 2?
I think we approved 5 and not 6, and at least to find out what the status is.
Right.
Commissioners,
President,
I'm sorry.
Phil,
I
was
was
there?
just going to say, in the past, we've approved, and then subject to the applicant showing up so that we don't hurt a closing from occurring, if you're comfortable with that.
Here we go.
Here he is now.
Problem solved.
Okay, Okay, so we approve the 6th
No, the seventh.
with 7, okay.
So
Make a motion.
Approving six
we
with
make-
one
yeah.
come to a future meeting.
come to
Correct.
future meeting, okay.
You want to re-say it, Commissioner Vehas?
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 7 applicants with Antoinette McLean to show up at a further, in the future. I second that.
Okay, very good, thank you. We have a motion and a second for the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 6 applicants that are present tonight. Also Antoinette McLean to come to a future meeting. If there's no further discussion, roll call.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Keswick?
Yes.
Vehas?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Operation.
Yes, motion passes 5 yes. Thank you.
Thank you, welcome to Hammond, congratulations to you.
Good luck.
Okay, number 7, conditional approval for the sale of Parish View vacant lot, 3131 170th Street. Lot number 3, Dennis Podolsky, welcome.
Mr. President, members of the commission, happy to say another lot has been conditionally sold, and that is lot number 3 at the address of 3131 170th Street. And it's being purchased by Cedric Steele, who is currently a Hammond resident residing at 6436 White Oak Avenue. The agreed purchase price has been, as is with the other lot, $16,000. He has a lender supporting him with his construction loan, and he is in the process of speaking with Brandon Smith of Homes of Distinction for the construction of the house that he wants to put on that lot, so.
Seems pretty straightforward. Mr. President, I move that we approve number 7, conditional approval for the sale of Parish View vacant lot 3131 170th Street, lot number 3.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval for the sale of Parish View vacant lot 3131 170th Street, that is lot number 3. Roll call on it.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Keswick?
Yes.
Vehas?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Operation.
Yes, motion passes 5 yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, number 8 is, the agenda again, is a determination of compliance with redevelopment plan for the North Hammond redevelopment area for the BP fire equipment storage building.
Commissioners, since last meeting, there's been a formal meeting, face-to-face meeting, along with several other different communication events, whether it be through the phone or meeting in a separate area, and everything is moving forward. However, without him being here, I can tell you that the Mr. Kylman from BP would like to keep it tabled until 2 weeks from today at the next HRC meeting. And he's putting together a report and some information based on his conversation that he had with the councilman and other people in the city. And they feel like by the next meeting, we'll have something here that we could bring this out formally and potentially push it forward.
So we just need a motion to table it?
Actually, it's still tabled,
It's still tabled.
so I think we don't have to take any action. I think we just don't bring it from the table. That's fine.
That's good to hear. I'm glad there's some progress moving forward on this. Said hopefully
Ashford, Fryman, and Torringa. We represent Hammond Hospitality LLC, and we're before you today for our termination of compliance with the Commission's redevelopment plan concerning the property at 2842 Carlson Drive. This is a new hotel building. Property is zoned C4. We believe that it is in compliance in all zoning respects. The total investment of this project is $11.5 million. We expect that it is going to generate over 150 construction jobs and provide over between 20 and 25 permanent jobs on completion. We submitted to you a number of plan sheets, excerpts showing you the site plan and other elements of the project. And we're here tonight to see if you have any questions.
Just out of curiosity, how 113 room hotel, is that the same size as the other ones kind of there, or just for my own visuals?
Yes,
Not-
I believe it is.
not-
I believe
not
generally-
specific.
I believe generally speaking, it's about the same height, about the same dimensions, yes.
Anybody, any more questions? Mr. President, I move we, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I hear from you.
No one else was speaking, I should figure that.
You're in a hurry.
No, actually not at all.
Okay. All right. Just in general, the project has been talked about for a couple of years, and I think that, as was noted, that it is very similar to the existing hotel that is ready to be opened as soon as we hear the official announcement. The Gateways Redevelopment Plan talks about a couple of issues, strengthening the corridors, leading up Boulevard and Kennedy Avenue. Talks about diversification of employment and development, and also in the land use plan section, talking about harmonious commercial developments and protection of the floodplain. So this is part of what we talked about the Oxbow development. We were looking for different types of development to help transform this part of the city something better than what the previous residential apartment complex was. And this goes a long way to accomplishing that long-term goal. There's still some issues on the BZA variance for the height, and some issues I pointed out to the developer or to the attorney about the parking layout. But the staff does recommend that the proposed Holiday Inn Express building is in compliance with the Gateways redevelopment plan, subject to the receiving the developmental variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals and an adjustment to the site plan for the layout of the handicap spaces.
Does seem like a very exciting project. The scale of the other hotel, looks like it's gonna be pretty similar, 4 stories, correct? Sure.
I have a question. You mentioned something about there was a small tweak about parking. Is that something we're gonna revisit later?
No, that's an issue for the staff to deal with,
Okay.
or the zoning staff to deal with. It's just the sizing of the handicap spaces, that's all it really is.
Upon hearing Mr. Poland's presentation, Mr. President, I move that the Redevelopment Commission determine that the proposed Holiday Inn Express at 2842 Carlson Drive is in compliance with the Gateways redevelopment area plan, subject to receiving the development variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals and adjustment to the site plan for the layout of the handicap spaces.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Mr. Poland?
Yes.
Hesperkey?
Yes.
Navejas?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Albrecht?
Yes. Motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, number 10, approval of blight elimination program promissory notes, demands, and mortgages, 1046 Kenwood Street, 6239 Harrison Avenue.
Commissioners, you have in your packet the Hardest Hit Fund Blight Elimination Program promissory notes for both 1046 Kenwood Street and 6239 Harrison Avenue. These are similar to the promissory notes for properties we've approved in the past. It's just 2 new addresses, so we're looking for a motion to approve for these 2 specific addresses today.
Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of the Blight Elimination Program promissory notes, demands, and mortgages for 1046 Kenwood Street and 6239 Harrison Avenue.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of blight elimination program promissory notes, demands, and mortgages for 1046 Kenwood Street and 6239 Harrison Avenue. We have a roll call on that.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Hesperkey?
Yes.
Navejas?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Albrecht?
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes. Okay, number 11, approval of purchase agreement, promissory note, and development agreement for 2500 New York Avenue.
Mr. President, you have in your packet the purchase agreement, the promissory note, and the development agreement. I think the main thrust of this is that the property at 2500 New York Avenue, which is immediately south of Calumet College, we put out for bid a few months ago, and the only bidder we received a bid from was the college. Their plan, as you'll see in the development agreement, is to provide for student housing at the site. We've had some initial meetings with them regarding what they exactly plan to do, but it's a full speed ahead project. They want to have these student housing facilities open for the fall of 2017. It's roughly a $5.9 million project all in. The incentive, because it's not the only incentive, the incentive that you're providing is the forgivable promissory note. Essentially, the purchase price is $308,000, and they're paying for the land with a forgivable promissory note. There's no, obviously with the school, there's not a tax abatement issue. There's no TIF money. There's none of those other incentives that you would see. The incentive is this forgivable promissory note, which provides that it gets forgiven 20% a year over 5 years that they operated as a student housing facility. Additionally, we have the mortgage that secures the promissory note, and we also have restrictive covenants that they've agreed in principle that this property could only be used for student housing. Now, one of the things they're going to have to do is replat the property to get an exact legal description, as well as, which will be through the Plan Commission, as well as rezoning, which will go through the Plan Commission and Council, as well as potentially vacating a street, which would have run right through the middle of what they're trying to, this campus feel that they're trying to get. So this is sort of the first step in a longer process. They're being very aggressive with regard to their timeline because essentially they have to have plans to Mr. Poland by the end of this month, actually July 21st to be exact, so that they can hit the Plan Commission, BZA, or I'm sorry, the Plan Commission deadlines, and then obviously for the rezoning onto the council. So it's important that we kind of hit this first step, approve the purchase agreement, the promissory note, and the development agreement. They're going to move forward. They've already started with their plans, and essentially an exciting project for that area. I hope it's not over-aggressive, but in terms of the timeline, but they are being very aggressive in terms of wanting to kind of shepherd this thing so they can open the student housing for next year.
Similar to the Purdue Calumet housing.
Similar.
I think it's very exciting. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the purchase agreement, promissory note, and development agreement for 2500 New York Avenue.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, also. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of purchase agreement, promissory note, and development agreement for 2500 New York Avenue. Further questions or discussion, Mr. Westman? Roll call.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Ezra
Yes.
Villegas?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes, motion passes 5 yes. Okay, number 12, amendment to agreement for rehab consultant, Gary Cruz.
Commissioners, you have in front of you an amendment to agreement, amendment number 1. This is in regards to Gary Drudas. As you may recall, just to give you an update, Gary took the buyout that the city offered last year. I forget how many years he was here, but it was, I think, 20-some years, and he was about ready to retire. He really was prepared to work one more year with us. However, the buyout was offered last year, and I think it was made very clear in the agreement that the buyout would not be offered for 3 more years after last year's opportunity. As far as we were concerned in planning and development, who Gary's worked for a long time, we really needed him in our department 1 more year, mainly because our home funding has been decreasing, let's say, over the last 10 to 15 years. So typically what Gary works on is our home rehab program. He also does the roof program, the emergency program, disability ramp program he's involved with. So he's involved with a lot of these different aspects. However, most of his time is spent on the home rehab program. Because the home funds has been declining over the last 10 to 15 years, as I said, we got to the point where the home rehab program really has to evolve. At this point, we were basically paying Mr. Drudas, and then Jen Hinojosa also is very, very involved with this program, 2 employees, among other employees that do minor things with the program as well. But we basically were paying 2 employees, and because of the funding, we were only able to do X amount of homes, and in the end, it didn't seem to make financial sense. So what we determined, or what we decided to do, is to take our home funds and basically shift them over to Mr. Radowski at United Neighborhoods, Inc., who does the what we know as the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, where he buys foreclosed homes or abandoned homes, rehabs them, and then resells them. And we could do that without adding any additional personnel, because Dennis is already using this program with other funding sources. He still has NSP funds left, probably majority NSP 3 funds. He could speak better to that, but we decided that it made the most sense to move the home funding over to United Neighborhoods, Inc. and let him continue on the great work that he's done through that program. However, as I mentioned, we knew we were going to use the home rehab program at least 1 more year, and it didn't make sense to hire somebody from the outside to fill Gary's position for 1 year. contract. So basically, we made a contract with Gary Drudas as a consultant to continue doing what he has been doing on the program for many years. I think it was as of maybe 3 weeks ago, we got to the maximum amount that we had first approved. I think it was $40,000 on Gary Drudas's consultant contract. We still have quite a bit of work to do on the final home rehabs that we're doing right now. So we needed this amendment to go through so that we can continue, and Gary can continue finalizing the last of the rehabs on the home rehab program. Now, saying that, we don't know 100%. We want to figure out a way that some of the things that are being performed, some of the projects that are being performed through the home rehab program could potentially be done through another program. So we're still working on that, meaning right now the home rehab program is basically, it's a program that serves low to moderate income residents of the city of Hammond that need renovations to their home, but they can't afford them. So we don't want to, we know there's going to be residents out there that still have, they're still going to need help with some of these aspects of this program that we've done. So we're looking at how some of the smaller things that we do, say some of the painting or rail repair, or if your sidewalk's cracked or something, we're still looking at how we can transfer some of those jobs to a different program to move those forward, because we know residents have those needs. But for right now, the point of this contract is to continue to have Gary continue on what he's doing with the home rehabs that we're finalizing right now, and this should get us through March 31st, 2017. As you know, the HUD budget is a April 1st to March 31st budget. It's not a typical January 1st to December 31st. So that's why if you look at the date on there, it says March 31st, 2017. That will take us to the end of the budget for this particular budget that we had approved through redevelopment and the council. I said a lot, but I'll be happy to answer any questions, because I hope I didn't confuse anybody.
Mr. President, I make a motion for the amendment to the agreement for rehab consultant Gary Drudas.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Amendment to agreement with rehab consultant Gary Drudas. Roll call then.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Keswick?
Yes.
Travenos?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Hopperidge?
Yes. Motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, you're on deck again. Number 13, reports. Bill Talon, would you like to share anything?
Yes, really just one major item to report, and that is that Department of Redevelopment for the City of Hammond are now the official owners of the almost 17 acres that were formerly known as the Woodmar Mall property. We ended up finalizing or executing the agreement as of this past Friday, and happy to report that today we received our first $25,000 rent check from Bonton, also known as Carson's. So we are now the official landlords for that property. I also met a contractor out on site today, because one thing that's always bothered me, and I think it's bothered a lot of other residents as well, because I've heard numerous complaints in my department, is when they performed the demolition of the old Woodmar Mall, there were several piles of some of the old asphalt and debris from that demolition that have sat in that property for many years. And I think the city was citing the owner, but to this date, it has still not been moved. So I met a contractor today, and I'm getting an estimate. One of the first acts I would like to do is to have that debris removed and have the overgrown weeds and grass cut down so that it looks respectable. So you're going to see that happen in the very near future. But it's exciting. Obviously, the site could be the potential for the sports complex, depending on how our application, if it gets approved by HUD for a Section 108 loan application, which I know we've talked about. But either way, I think it's important that the city took ownership of this site, and that now going forward, we're going to be able to have the opportunity to direct how this very important parcel of land that has a significant history in the city of Hammond will move forward from today. So I'm very excited to report that. Other than that, I'll be happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you. And then, getting that cleaned up will definitely help, give it a little facelift there.
I agree.
All right. Number 14, our bills, register of claims.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the register of claims for April 12th, 2016 through June 29th, 2016. Register of claims R53286 through R53612.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the register of claims for April 12th, 2016 through June 29th, 2016. Claims R53286 through claim R53612. Any questions on these claims for staff? Okay, roll call, please.
Donald Presley,
Yes.
Casperkey,
Yes.
Villegas,
Yes.
Irish,
Yes.
Albrecht.
Yes, motion passes 5 yes. Number 15, new and unfinished business. Okay. Number 16 is public comment. If you want to come forward, you got 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garrett Alexander, and I just come as a concerned citizen just to find out. I'm from the 3rd District. I currently live in 3rd District, and I hear that you guys maybe, do you guys come up with funding, or how do you get funding for the redevelopment of the 3rd District?
When you say development, the councilman of the 3rd District receives a certain amount of funding every year from gaming funds, and then he determines how he wants to spend that money. Is that what you're referring to?
He's the only one that determines that?
The funding that he receives for the 3rd District is basically him working together with the city of how those funds will be spent.
Maybe if you could help me out, what are you guys' purpose as a redevelopment commission? I mean, you know, what are you guys' purpose in the city?
Sure. The city has certain areas that are deemed redevelopment areas.
Mm-hmm.
So off the top of my head, I'd say there's probably 7 redevelopment areas in the city. As far as the 3rd District's concerned, for example, Woodmar Mall that we just spoke of, that's a redevelopment area.
Okay.
So if there's a project that's moving forward in that area, the group that's moving forward with that project has to come here and in front of the commissioners has to go over the site plan for that project. And then the commissioners will determine that that project is in compliance with the language that was put in the original redevelopment area when it was originally set forth. So really, we call it determination of compliance. That's typically what the redevelopment commission, we have a host of different activities that we perform, but that's one of the biggest ones. Redevelopment also, the city gets a certain amount of HUD dollars every year, and so the redevelopment commission takes a large role in seeing how those HUD dollars get spent throughout the city on different programs and services that we offer as well.
When we say HUD, is that like real estate? When you talking about like houses being...
Housing and urban
So
development.
if a house in the 3rd District would be getting knocked, if it got knocked down, you guys would determine if it...
No. No, we don't do that.
Okay. Maybe I'm in the wrong meeting. I'm just trying to see how some of the monies that's coming through the city get put back in the 3rd District. I understand we do have a 3rd District councilman. I didn't vote for him, so I'm trying to get some redevelopment going on in my state and where I'm from, where I live, and I'm just trying to figure out how to go about doing it. I mean, we don't have a little league in our area. I understand that it's pretty much big business everywhere. It's all about making money. I understand that, but we have kids where I come from that like I think each part of the community needs something different. I mean, it's the Latino community needs this, everybody needs different things, so I just think like, if we had power to see where our dollars are going, why wouldn't we look to see where, okay, I mean, you can look outside, it's called MLK Park, but there's no pride in the park. I mean, the rim's been tore up for over 20 years. I understand that's a park board issue. I mean, I understand it's all politics. I don't understand that to some degree. I'm just saying, like, if we have power and we call it the redevelopment, why not let's try to redevelop the whole city? You know, I don't want special privileges. It's just, I think it should just be for, you know, okay, let's divvy it up, and each part of the city should get a good portion of it, you know? So maybe, like I say, I'm in the wrong meeting and I'm not making sense, but I'm just trying to see how does everything blossom as opposed to all the surrounding areas of the city.
Well, this is a public comment period at Redevelopment Commission, so you're free to say the things that you're saying. It does make sense for you to come out and speak your mind. I think you were kind of right on in that the 3rd District Councilman typically does represent the district, and so he can, and in most cases, does spearhead projects in that district. However, we do, there's a lot of projects that have gone on in 3rd districts. For example, the Woodmar Mall, that's the 3rd district.
Right.
So that we were just talking about the sports complex that potentially could get built depending on the application. That's something that's going to happen in the 3rd district. But I think to answer your question, this is the place for you can voice some concerns.
Okay.
You'll also maybe want to talk to the council as well at their public comment period, and you're going to want to sit down with the councilman and have a conversation with him as well.
You're supposed to say good luck with that after that, though. But I appreciate your time, though. So thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Wait till our meeting's over with. Don't leave, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, not for that. I just want to, because I also live in 3rd District.
Okay.
So don't leave. All right.
Okay, would anybody else like to come forward? All right, public comment. Number 17.
Right?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. Can you all signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.